Virtually, brethren, all conflicts and misunderstandings between the sexes can be traced to one simple problem. And that problem is a failure to understand the basic God-created differences between men and women. Now, this not only applies to problems in marriages, it can apply to problems in communication, but also, as I said, it implies to conflicts and frustrations in dating as well, and perhaps sometimes in even our mutual communication, because we may not sometimes always understand one another as we should. Now, probably each one of you has some difficulty understanding the attitude and behavior of the opposite sex. No doubt you as a man have been troubled and perplexed about the following questions. Why can't women make up their minds? What does it take to please her? Why does it take a girl so long to forget a misunderstanding? How can a girl be so happy and chirpy one day only to find a day later that she is cold, distant, and difficult to talk to? Why are little things and insignificant details so important to women? Why are they so temperamental, changeable, and unpredictable in their day-to-day disposition? Why are women generally late with no reasonable explanation? Why don't girls show more excitement and enthusiasm when asked for a date? Why does a girl flirt with a guy, then turn down a date when he asks her? Why is it too difficult to choose topics of conversation that both fellows and girls can relate to? Now, probably you as women have been equally distressed and frustrated with such questions as, why aren't men more sensitive to women and their feelings? Why do men feel like they have to prove their masculinity instead of just being themselves? Why do men brag on themselves and put others down? Why do they sometimes act tough and macho? Why do they tend to be blunt and use rough language? Why don't men place the same importance on special occasions like a dance or a dinner as women do? Why can't men realize that it isn't necessary to spend a lot of money to make a date successful? Why do men bottle up their emotions? Why are men so interested in external physical things? Why are some men inconsiderate and thoughtless in waiting till the last minute to ask for a date? Why are some men more interested in dating the popular and attractive girls than they are in being a friend to all? Why are men so reluctant to express their feelings to let you know that they really care? Why are men in general more warped up in outside activities such as their jobs, plans, personal ambitions than in their home and family? Why can't men perceive or understand what women need most? Appreciation, gentleness, and a caring attitude. Well, in this very Bible study, we are going to answer these questions and explore the male and female differences. To do this in depth, of course, would require a full year and probably 3-unit course in a college. But for our purpose today, however, we'll just cover the most important highlights. So let's begin with a number of general differences. There are seven major points. Differences between the sexes, okay? 7 major points. Point number 1. Our physical anatomy should give us a clue that men and women were designed for 2 entirely different roles. The man has a larger frame, stronger muscles, and a rugged appearance. So he was designed to be the aggressor, protector, and provider. He has 50% more brute strength and larger lung capacity than the women. And these characteristics give him dominance and make him the natural leader. Now the women, or the woman, better said, the woman has a smaller frame, delicate features, and less strength and stamina. In 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7, we are told that she is described as a weaker vessel. Now, of course, weaker doesn't mean in psychological sense or intellectual capacity. Greek word for weaker means more sensitive or fragile. That's what it means. She was designed to be a helpmate, companion, and mother. These characteristics point out her dependence on the man and make her the natural follower. Now, I realize what I'm saying is not politically correct anymore, but we are speaking about difference in sexes from God's points of view. We're not speaking from the points of view of any worldly ideology. Now, second point is, we have general differences. There is a second major difference. It is that God equipped each sex with a different kind of brain to function according to his or her physical structure. So each one thinks and acts differently to life situations according to natural built-in laws. Consider how unwieldy, unnatural, and confusing life would be if their brains and bodies were cross-switched. As you know, about the confusion about sexes and gender and all these kinds of stuff, which is just modern in our day and age, is just better and totally godless. Again, I know this is not politically correct, but we are speaking about men and women from God's perspective, not from the perspective of warped up and godless ideologies and societies and warped up psychology of today, modern trends that we see in psychology and in social activities. The third general difference is that God created men and women with different qualities and complete each other. And this was made clear when God fashioned them in Genesis 2, verse 20. And Adam gave names to all cattle and to the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an help meet for him. Verse 21. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep, the first surgery or operation, to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And that's why we men have one rib missing, by the way. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Of course, not only in physical sense, but one flesh in mental sense. They should become one mind. Now these verses, of course, that we have just read, Genesis 2, verse 20 through 24, they should teach us that neither sex is complete without the other. And it takes two halves to make a whole. It takes male and female to become one flesh. Hence, it behooves us to learn and understand how vitally important these differences are in order to become a whole and balanced person. The fourth major difference is that virtually every cell in a man's body has a different chromosome and genetic makeup than that of a woman. How interesting. And this startling fact reinforces how totally different we are. We were designed to fulfill what makes us distinctly male and female. Now, this general difference is, adaptation from the book by Gary Smalley, If Only He Knew, page 17. As well as this next general difference, the fifth one, experts tell us that the seat of emotions in a man's brain is wired differently than a woman's, because he has strong drives and motivations that make him an adventurer and conqueror. She has, on the other hand, sensitive feelings and tender needs that equipped her to be a companion, loving wife, and mother. The sixth general difference is, according to one article published in November 1982 in Reader's Digest, men predominantly use the right hemisphere of their brain in certain phases of thinking, while women use the left hemisphere. Now, this unique arrangement causes each to react differently under stress and pressure. The article then goes on to explain why men, when under duress, may explode with anger or violence, while women tend to become depressed and fall apart. And finally, the seventh major difference between sexes is, we can now briefly summarize, we as men and women should deeply appreciate our God-ordained differences and strive to understand their true significance in God's great plan. Now, this will require, of course, thought, effort, and consideration for the needs and feelings of each other. And it will bring new meaning to the golden rule in all our daily encounters and relationships. Now, there is some, by the way, evidence that hormonal changes can be more readily excited or triggered in a woman than a man, and thus causing fluctuations in her daily moods, attitude, and temperament. There's some evidence. So God knows about those evidence, and He knows about those differences. Now, to illustrate more pointedly these overall differences, we need to notice a graphic quotation from the book entitled For Better or For Best, again by the same author, Gary Smalley. This is from page 29. Now, here is the quote. The best example to illustrate these differences is to compare the butterfly with the buffalo. The butterfly has a keen sensitivity. It is sensitive even to the slightest breeze. It flutters above the ground where it can get a panoramic awareness of its surroundings. It notices the beauty of even the tiniest of flowers. Because of its sensitivity, it is constantly aware of all of the changes going on around it and is able to react to the slightest variation in its environment. Thus, the butterfly reacts with swiftness toward anything that might hurt it. Try to catch one without a net sometime. If a tiny pebble were taped to its wing, the butterfly would be severely injured and eventually die. The buffalo is another story. It is rough and calloused. It doesn't react to a breeze. It is not even affected by a 30-mile-an-hour wind. It just goes right on doing whatever it was doing. It's not aware of the smallest of flowers, nor does it appear to be sensitive to slight changes in its environment. Tape a pebble to the buffalo's back, and he probably won't even feel it. The buffalo isn't rotten to the core just because he goes around stepping on pretty flowers. In fact, the buffalo's toughness is a tremendous asset. His strength, when harnessed, can pull a plow that 4 grown men can't pull. End of the quote. Now, of course, brethren, the analogy is obvious, I guess, because the man is the buffalo, so to speak, and the woman is the butterfly, so to speak, you see. And many times a man may just plow through life situations while a more sensitive woman will feel life and her environment. The pebble on the butterfly's wing, the author suggests, may take, the quote, may take the form of a sarcastic remark, a sharp criticism, or even an indifferent attitude. Whatever it is, it can hurt and even crush her, and yet he may not even know what he has done. So clearly, men and women were fashioned for 2 distinct roles in God's great plan. And failure to understand these differences results in much anxiety, tension, and distress in social relationships with each other. And now, let's just have 24, that is, specific differences between men and women. Now, please note, of course, these 24, these traits are the norm, the natural bent that each has toward life, and these are by no means complete, and there will always be exceptions, of course. But here they are. 24. The first one, men. He is interested in ideas and things. She is interested in people and building relationships. The second one, he is interested in status, career, and personal ambitions. She is interested in marriage, establishing a home, and starting a family. The third specific difference, he feels a strong need to provide and be the leader. She wants security, protection, and the assurance that he cares. Fourth one, he is more aggressive, daring, and adventurous, ready to step into the unknown and try new things. She is fearful of the unknown and feels unsure of taking chances. Fifth one, he thinks with hard, cold facts, is more logical, analytical, and deliberate in making decisions. She is more impulsive and, when under pressure, usually makes snap emotional judgments. The sixth specific difference, once a decision is made, he is ready to step out and act. She shies away from major decisions. She would rather that he assume responsibility. The seventh difference, he is oftentimes a slow thinker. He wants to be certain he has all the facts. She is intuitive and perceptive. She can usually get to the heart of a matter quickly and accurately. The eighth difference, he has a broader perspective, sees the big picture. She is more concerned about the details and the finer points. Ninth difference, he tends to suppress his feelings, but then blows up to get things off his chest. She expresses her emotions more freely, cries easily to release her frustrations, tends to be moody. Tenth difference, he is more cautious in communicating his thoughts for fear of exposing his weaknesses. She is more candid, honest, and forthright, and openly bears her feelings. 11th difference, when he feels insecure around women, He tries to impress them by boasting about his achievements or projecting a macho image. When she feels insecure and rejected, she withdraws, becomes self-conscious, and depressed. The 12th difference. He tends to have more intellectual vanity and expresses it by engaging in deep theories, concepts, and philosophies. She is more interested in talking about practical everyday concerns and human-related topics. 13th difference. He thinks long range, maps out his life and drives himself to achieve his goals. He resents distractions or interruptions that impede his progress. She tends to think short range. She can quickly adapt to new situations and take frustrations in stride. She is not as easily bent out of shape or upset over interruptions. The 14th difference that is. He is more outwardly bold and courageous, will confront danger head-on and take charge in emergency situations. She is prone to be easily frightened or may become hysterical and fall apart in a crisis. Difference number 15. Security to a man is having a good job and money in the bank. Security to a woman is having a man to look after her needs. Difference number 16. A man thinks money is to be saved. A woman thinks money is to be spent. Difference number 17. He likes sameness and stability. She likes change and variety. Difference number, I bet you're all laughing very sweetly, but I can't hear you, of course, you can only hear me. Difference number 18. He is tough-skinned and can bounce back when criticized, corrected, or defeated. She is very sensitive to correction and is easily bruised by negative comments or cutting remarks. Difference number 19. For all intents and purposes, he is the head of the human partnership. She has the heart, or she is the heart and nerve center. Difference number 20. Because of his personal pursuits and preoccupations, he is often cold, uncaring, and insensitive to her feelings. Because she needs approval and acceptance, she is often crushed and mortally wounded by his calloused and indifferent attitude. Difference number 21. He has foresight, she has insight. Difference number 22. He is the mainspring, she is the balance spring. Difference number 23. A man was made to love, a woman wants to be loved. And the final difference between men and women is difference number 24. He needs a woman to love, she needs a man to love her. So the subject of male and female differences, would not be complete without mentioning some of the essential needs of each sex, brethren. And the basic, we have like 10 basic needs. 10 basic needs for men, 10 basic needs for women. And let's go through them. Basic need number 1. He needs to be admired. She needs attention. He needs honest feedback. She needs appreciation, approval, and sincere compliments. He needs to be respected for his role as the leader. She needs people and personal relationships. He needs to be bolstered and encouraged. She needs to be loved, respected, and treated with tenderness. He needs recognition for his achievements and success. She needs a shoulder to cry on without fear of rejection. He needs the loyalty and support of the opposite sex. She needs to know that her opinions count, that is. The basic need number 7. He needs a challenge and to be understood for his masculine interests, drives, and ambitions. She needs to know that a man appreciates her differences and tries to understand her emotional makeup. He needs a woman to be enthusiastic and responsive to his ideas, suggestions, and requests. She needs a man to tell her of his plans so she'll know how to properly prepare for them. He needs appreciation for the special things he does. She needs to be assured that he is mindful of her physical limitations. And the basic need number 10 is he needs a sense of self-worth. She needs for a man to be sensitive, protective, and caring of her total welfare. Now, in concluding this short Bible study, brethren, it will be helpful to realize that the needs and differences between the sexes can be summed up in two broad principles. These two principles can best be remembered as two grand mottos, and try to picture them as stamped on the forehead of each other as a sign hung around the neck. They are worded as follows. For the men, needs a sense of self-worth, treat with respect. For the woman, fragile, handle with care. Now drill these two mottos in your mind and you'll begin to build successful and harmonious relationships into your life.